Hi creators, welcome back to the Habitual Creator. In today's video, we're gonna help you make a super cute DIY jewelry box. This is going to be so fun to make when you have those special DIY earrings or necklace, or if you have a store-bought item that you just need to wrap up in a very pretty package. All right, so now we're going to cut out our box for our jewelry set using our Cricut maker. And so I'm gonna open it up. This never gets old. Ta-da! And I'm going to turn it on. All right, it's all fired up and ready to go. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is set up our design in Cricut Design Space. So we're going to go to Image, and I've already been searching for jewelry box, and I found the one that I really like, and it's this one. So we're gonna click it and hit Insert. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to take off some of these colors. I have lots and lots of pretty papers, and so I don't need all of the extra pieces. So I'm going to ungroup, and then I'm going to click on this red and take it off, because this would be a different color that you would just paste on top of here. And like I said, I'm going to use some pretty paper, so I don't need all of that. And then once I've done that, then I'm just going to select everything again, just click and drag to select everything, and I'm going to group it all back again. And that just makes sure when I'm moving it around the desk area on Cricut Design Space, it all stays together. Now that I've done that, I'm gonna go ahead and click Save. Even though it'd be super easy for me to go back in and adjust this, I just wanna make sure that I don't have to do that. So I'm going to say Jewelry Box and save it to the cloud. And I like saving it to the cloud because I can always get to my stuff, whether I'm on my phone or on my iPad or on my computer. I can get to all of it if I just save it on the cloud. So now I'm going to say Make It. And if you notice, it's cutting out the earring template and the necklace template on a certain color, and the box top and bottom on a certain color, and that's exactly how I want it to do. So I'm going to then say Continue. And because I switch between the Maker and the Joy, it will often ask me what am I using, so I need to choose Maker. And now it's ready to go on to the next step. So I know I'm going to be using some medium cardstock, so I'm going to choose that. And I'm going to tell it to remember this material setting, because everything that I cut today is going to be on that medium cardstock. That way I don't have to keep telling it the same thing over and over again. Okay, so now it's giving me the instruction to load in the single scoring wheel in clamp B. And I know that it's a single scoring wheel because when I look at it, it's going to have a 0 and a 1 kind of right here on the edge. So I'm going to open up the housing and take out the regular cutting blade, and I'm going to put in the scoring blade. Okay, so I know I want the inside to be this pretty type of metallic. It's almost like a dark kind of metallic paper, but it's not glittery. It's really pretty though. So I'm going to put it on my light grit mat. We're gonna put this little slippery clear sheet on the desk and make sure it doesn't fall. If you ever step on that thing on the floor, it is going to be not a great deal for you. You will slide across the floor. Ask me how I know. So you're gonna put this on here, and make sure when you lay it on here, you do line it up with the lines on your mat so that you get an accurate cut. So I'm just gonna smooth that down. And my little light is blinking, so I'm gonna press my light once I kind of slide this in, hit my little go. And the machine is gonna check to make sure I put in the right blade and everything. And once it knows that I have, I'm gonna actually press fast mode and hit the little blinking C to let it go. So we'll be right back. Okay, now it's telling me to take out the scoring blade, and I'm gonna set it aside because we know we have another piece to do. And I'm going to now put in the cutting blade and press the flashing Cricut. Okay, now I can eject it pressing the little double arrows. And when I take this off, I like to take the paper off the mat or the mat off the paper rather, not the paper off the mat. So I lay it down and just kind of roll it off. And that keeps my paper from getting all rolled up. And that way I can be able to use this other paper again. See how nice and flat it came out? So I can use that again for something else. So I'll set that aside, and I'll set my 2 pieces aside. Now I need to put in my pretty topper paper, and I like, because when I score, I like to put the pretty side down, and that way when it scores, it doesn't crack my paper as much when I do it this way. So I know lots of people like to do it their own way. This is kind of my secret sauce, so feel free if this doesn't work for you, or if you don't like it that way, you know, feel free to cut it with the pretty side up. One of the things I don't do though, if I'm using heavily glittered paper, I will not do it pretty side down, because then my mat will be covered with glitter, and I don't like that. So now I've got to change out my blade again, and I'm going to change it out to the scoring blade. So I'm going to put that back in, and I'm going to close the clamp. There we go. And I'm going to feed it in and press the Cricut. All right, so now it's time to switch out. We're taking out the scoring blade and we're putting in the cutting blade. And now we're going to take it out. And we are all done with our cutting. We are going to take our mat from our paper. So you just kind of want to help your paper off the mat here. And just roll that mat back. And again, help the paper off. And roll the mat back. And you don't have to go this slow. Sometimes when I'm doing a new cut that I'm not familiar with, I will roll it a bit slower to make sure that I don't accidentally rip my paper. Because that's it's not a sad day, because it doesn't take very much to cut another piece. But you don't want to have to start over if you don't have to. Also, a good rule of thumb is as soon as you are done cutting with your mat, put your protective sheet back on. That way nothing dusty gets on it, nothing kind of messes up the stickiness of it, and then just set that aside. And then we're going to take off our little pieces here, and this is for our top and our bottom. And we're going to lay that extra paper aside. So give me a little bit to kind of clean up the area so that we can get ready to assemble all of our pieces for our cute little jewelry box. So we'll be right back. Okay, now we have all of our pieces cut out. These particular pieces are for the earrings and the necklace. I'm going to show you how you can kind of use the holes on this one to not have to use both. And then here are our tops and our bottoms for our cards. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to flip them over, and let's start with the bottom first. I don't know if you can see it, but there are score lines all over this box. And so what we're going to do is everywhere that there is a score line, we're going to fold it, and we're going to use our bone folder to make really crisp folds. So just get started and just get these all folded. And it's so nice that they give you these super accurate score lines, because it makes making a gift box super, super simple. And so what I like to do is kind of pre-score all of my lines, kind of get them all folded in. And then once I do that, then I come back through with my bone folder, because it just makes really quick work of just sliding that across really quickly and getting those sharp edges. And so I'll get that done right quick. And do the same on this side. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing to the top. We're going to pre-fold along all of those nice little score lines that they gave us. All right, and now we are going to Use our bone folder to get those nice, crisp edges. Okay, so now we are going to use our glue to start putting everything together. Okay, so and what's so nice about this, I've never actually put this box together, but they do such a good job giving you these score lines that it literally almost folds together by itself to tell me where I need to glue. So I know based on how I'm folding this, I need to glue here and here, and I need to glue these tabs. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that done. I like using this AdTech Craft Dot Glue Runner. You can use whatever glue you have on hand. I just use this because it's super fast. What I will say is if you are gluing something together that needs a lot of staying power, this glue may not be the best fit. But because we're putting jewelry in here, it doesn't have to be super heavy duty. So I'm not really concerned about this particular one. So I have glued all of these edges, and I'm going to go ahead and fold, and I'm going to glue these first tabs in, the little bitty tabs, and you're just pressing them into place. And then I'm going to slide this one in and the side one in, and I'm just going to slide them into place first. There we go. I've just pressed those edges. So we'll set this one aside, and then we're going to do the same thing with this piece. And so again, just trying to figure out how the box folds up, and I actually missed a couple of folds there, so let's fix that. And that's what's nice about this. If you miss a fold, you will know because it won't fold correctly. And again, they've given us such a beautiful folding mechanism on here that it just makes a really gorgeous box. It makes it pretty sturdy too because of the way they do it. And then I always like to check before I glue this last piece to make sure this is actually going to slide in here and fit. And of course with Cricut, it's a perfect fit. But I always like to kind of do a test run. So we're going to open this up, and based on how everything worked out, I know that I'm going to need to glue these flaps on the ends. And then I'm going to want to glue this down to here and this little piece down to here, because when I get ready to take it around, I'm going to need to be able to make this stick. And so once I've done that and gotten these glued down, I'm going to run some glue also. I want to run some on the inside too. So this is going to be like a double glue job, but first we want to do these outside tabs and get them kind of done first. So let's put the glue on those. And we're also going to put the glue on this because I know I need to close this up. So let's go ahead and glue that down. And the same for this one. Let's glue that down. Very good. All right, we've already glued our little tabs, so we're gonna line them up on the little score line and then fold that up. The same for this one. Line them up on the little score lines and then fold them up. And then while these flaps are out, these bottom flaps, I'm going to go ahead and run some more glue along these because we know this is how this is going to close up. And I'm going to do the other side as well. And then you just tuck these in and tuck the other side in. All right, so our box for the bottom is now complete as well. So we can set that aside. All right, now that we've gotten that all done, we have the option of doing just earrings or doing a necklace. And because the necklace has these little holes in it, I often will use just this and I'll discard that piece because I can stick the earrings through those holes, okay? So again, just like the other, these have score lines on them. And so I'm going to go ahead and score this. I'm gonna take these score lines just like the last time and pre-fold them. And because this is just going inside of this box, there's no need to glue because you're gonna actually need to get your necklace out. And if you glue it, you won't be able to get it out. So this is what it looks like after it's been all folded. And I'm gonna go back through with my bone folder just to make those lines extra crisp. Now we're all ready to put in some pretty jewelry. All right, so we have our jewelry here that we're going to put in the box. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I don't know if you can see this, but there are little slits on each side, and that's where our chain is gonna flow through, much like when you get pretty jewelry. It is on some type of backer with the chain in, and so you can just gently pull that back until you get the chain in the place that you want it. And because I usually like to have the chain showing, I'll pull that chain back pretty far so that you can see the pretty pendant there while it's in the box. So let's get that wedged in here. Okay, so that part is done. And then we're gonna bring it back up and get the other side in. All right. And then you've got a couple of options for the earrings. You can obviously hang them off of the chain itself, which is pretty, but you can also let it share the same hole that the necklace went through, and that's what I'm going to do this time. We could also, if I hadn't been lazy, I could have put 2 holes here or 2 holes down here, but you know, why go through all of that when you can still achieve a very similar look? And so now you just let the back part of the chain fall into the box and then tuck in those tabs. You can also put some really pretty, just soft cotton behind there if you don't want to hear the jingling in the box, but we're gonna leave it as is for now. And then you can just slide this right into the other box that we made. And if you notice, there are 2 holes in the top here, and that's in order to tie a pretty ribbon. So we're gonna grab some ribbon and we'll be right back. All right, so I have some pre-cut ribbon here. I'm not going to try to tie a bow, I'm gonna tie a pretty knot. And so you just kind of, depending on how big your ribbon is, you'll have to give it a couple of folds to get it through the hole. So I'm just gonna give mine a little tug. Be very careful when you're pulling through the ribbon. You definitely don't wanna rip the box that you spent time making. So kind of get that through there. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side, just kind of gather that ribbon up and get it tucked and pulled through. Just like so. And then once you have it all through, then you can just make sure that it's pretty sides facing the way you want. And I just like to tie like just a very simple knot. There's no need for a super fancy bow on every single thing. Sometimes a pretty knot is all you need. And so get that kind of tight as you can without ripping the paper. And then I like to come in with a pair of scissors and just give it a little diagonal chop there. And do the same thing on this side. And so once that's all done, then you can choose to close this in a couple of ways. Generally, these boxes don't get saved, and so I wouldn't hesitate to put some glue on here, and so that's what we're gonna do for the purposes of this. But before I put the glue on, let's just imagine you're giving it to your recipient and they receive the beautiful box, and they can just take this and pull out the jewelry, and it's just like that. So a beautiful, beautiful way to showcase a pretty jewelry set. Until next time, toodles.